Now folks, the White House has been scrambling to put President Biden's infrastructure deal back on track, after Republican senators balked at his surprise demand to pair the nearly $1 trillion plan with an even bigger investment package covering progressive policy priorities. President Biden said in a statement that he does not plan to veto a bipartisan infrastructure bill if it comes without a reconciliation package.
Well, from day one, Republicans opposed adding a supplement to normal unemployment. And at a time when tens of millions of people are working for starvation wages, their theory is if you have low unemployment benefits, you can starve people back to work. And obviously, I think that that is unacceptable.
Walking back a declaration last week that he would refuse to sign it unless the two bills were included. The comment angered some Republican lawmakers, including Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who said the president was threatening to veto the bipartisan deal in remarks on the Senate floor on Thursday. President Biden stated that statement understandably upset some Republicans who do not see two plans as linked. My comments also created the impression that I was issuing a veto threat on the very plan that I just agreed to, which was certainly not my intent. What are your thoughts on President Biden, everybody? Is he doing what it takes to help out the American people? And should he pass a fourth stimulus check of $1,000 a month? Let me know in the comments down below.
What McConnell is doing is trying to capitalize on President Biden's misstep to try to get him to extend that remark that he made, delinking these two bills, to demand that Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer do that as well. That appears highly unlikely because Democrats don't seem to have the votes to get that bipartisan deal through either chamber.
Now a bipartisan group of lawmakers closed a deal on infrastructure, or at least on the infrastructure initiative. Thursday, following weeks of negotiations to craft a package that could actually get through Congress with Republican and Democratic support. The framework will include $579 billion in new spending to improve the country's roads, bridges, and broadband. The second bill would include funding for Democrat-backed issues like climate change, childcare, healthcare, and education issues. All of the administration officials have all called this human infrastructure. It would be passed through a Senate process called reconciliation, which does not require Republican votes. House Speaker Pelosi also said the House representatives will not take up either piece of legislation until both are passed through the Senate. Democrats cannot afford to lose a single vote on a reconciliation bill in the evenly split chamber. Biden said that he will ask Senate Minority Leader, or Majority Leader now, Chuck Schumer, to schedule an infrastructure plan and the reconciliation bill for action in the Senate. Now, many of the senators who initially agreed to work together on an infrastructure proposal now oppose President Biden's multi-trillion-dollar plan that took a wide definition of the word infrastructure. And now this infrastructure bill is set to include social aspects that many Republicans are against.
Elderly and the children and the most vulnerable people in this country. They want to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. My view, and we've introduced legislation to do this, is that not only are we going to stop them cutting Social Security, we are going to expand Social Security benefits.
These measures range from increasing wages for those in the care economy to a historic investment in the country's ability to fight climate change. While many of these investments share widespread public support in red and blue states, it was not enough to garner any support from the Republican caucus. Additionally, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has said in recent days that his party would have never supported a bill that increased the corporate tax rate to cover the new spending. The new proposal led by Senator Susan Collins of Maine is much more focused on traditional investments in infrastructure, like rebuilding roads and bridges. The bipartisan group of senators has been more interested in a targeted piece of legislation. But in a statement describing which had been agreed to, the White House stated that President Biden remains committed to all aspects of the American Jobs Plan that will be left out of the present package. The White House has said that the president sees this package as a first step and that Biden will work with Congress to build on the bipartisan infrastructure framework and legislation that moves in tandem, and he's encouraged that both the House and Senate are working on budget plans that would do so. Currently, the plan's total value of the plan is $579 billion. The White House and 21 senators agreed that the package would include new spending related to internet access, school bus electrification, physical infrastructure improvements, and much more. The White House is now focused on passing an infrastructure bill Ideally, Biden wants one Republican support as part of his drive to rebuild bipartisanship in Washington. He and Democrats want to get it done before the August recess. A bipartisan group of 21 senators has one on the table that Senator Lindsey Graham has said President Joe Biden, if you want an infrastructure deal of $1 trillion, it's there for the taking. You just need to get involved and take the lead. Now folks, that's all the news in this video. If you guys found this video useful and helpful, feel free to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like.
In the president's name and the president's voice. And a couple of the points he made in there quite clearly were that when last week, when he had the press conference, as you all know, he indicated he would refuse to sign the infrastructure bill if it was sent to him without his American Families Plan and other priorities, including clean energy. That statement upset some Republicans who did not see the two plans as linked, as you all know, who are also hoping, as you all know, to defeat the Families Plan and do not want to see their support for the infrastructure plan as aiding passage of the Families Plan. As was noted in his statement, he left the impression that he was issuing a veto threat on the very plan that he had just agreed to, which was not his intent. And he wanted to make clear that was not his intent. And in the statement, he also reiterated his intention to move forward with advocating for, using the bully pulpit, making phone calls, working his heart out to get the American Families Plan through. And his view is that you can do both and should be able to do both. And there can be disagreement even as he's pursuing the American Families Plan.
So he miscommunicated.
I think he made pretty clear, Major, in his statement this weekend that we issued this weekend that he did not send that was not the message he intended to send.
And you have said a couple of times the president's going to tell the country what's in it, but even those who have supported it say we'd like to know more about it. I mean, when are the details going to be really available for those, for example, who live in Flint, Michigan, or any other city in America that does have a lead pipe situation, to know exactly what's going to be spent, when it's going to be spent, and the core legislative language that, when I used to cover Senator Biden, he would be very much focused on?
Well, what would you like to know? Settle in. I will share every detail that anyone would like to know about the package. But you're right, Major. As you know, it needs to now be written. That is a key component. As the president said also, and as we have conveyed from here, there is work ahead. And that is the important work ahead, is writing this legislation, moving across the finish line. I will say, just because you asked me about the specific component of the package, just to give a little bit more detail there, it will put Americans to work replacing 100% of our nation's lead water pipes so that every single American child at home or in school can turn on the faucet and drink clean water. And right now, as you may or may not know, up to 10 million homes and 400,000 schools and child care centers get their water from lead pipes and service lines.